What's up, Taiwan? I'm Laurel Stewart with the news from here in Taiwan and around the world. New data shows Taiwan's economy may be outperforming South Korea's for the first time since 2003. The Statistics Bureau puts Taiwan's GDP per capita this year at over $38,000. That's $600 higher than South Korea's. On the streets of Taipei, there was a mix of reaction to the news.
感受真的是很开心，我们能够有这个机会可以超越韩国，因为韩国毕竟他们也是跟我们很多东西都跟我们竞争旗鼓相当。
如果一般人民的平均的基本薪资还是跟不上通膨的话，其实 GDP 成长对普罗大众来讲，其实没有什么很实质性的帮助。这样。
Analysts credit the gap to Taiwan's AI and tech export boom and slowing growth in South Korea. To find out more about Taiwan's GDP growth and why people don't necessarily feel more well off, our reporter IT spoke to Chiu Junrong from National Central University.
South Korea's GDP is now estimated to lag behind Taiwan's, the first time this has occurred in 22 years. May you explain the significance of this development? And what does it indicate?
简单来讲，就是说台湾展现了它在经济上面的韧性啊。那我在 GDP 组成的这个各个层面，无论是在投资或者是在出口，甚至是在内需上面，都有非常长足的成长。如果用助跑或者是飞机起飞来说明的话，就是说在过去这一段时间7、8年的时间，其实已经蓄积了一个非常强大的这个起飞的动能哈。那这个起飞的动能不但使得现在 台湾的人均 GDP 渴望很快的赶过南韩，甚至有机会在未来能够更加持续的成长。
Could you also explain why this is happening, given the similarities of their export-oriented economies?
台湾在投资方面呢，有一个非常大的过去有一个非常大的弱势，就是投资率不足。这2018年是开启了美洲贸易战，川普在第一任的时候开启了美洲贸易战。那这个美洲贸易战呢，有一个非常巨大的效果，就使得台商回流。那台商回流使得台湾的投资率，就是投资占 GDP 的比重呢，瞬间从大概不到20%，瞬间提高到27%。回台湾投资之后，它带动的后续的包含出口的畅旺啊，从台湾直接出口，而不是透过在中国制造。那这件事情呢，也让台湾在出口的动能上面获得非常大的益助。那再加上这几年我们也看到了哈，过去原本台湾跟韩国竞争最激烈的这个半导体产业。 台湾在过去这一段时间有非常长足的进步，好，特别是在先进制程的晶圆制造上面，哈，那台积电现在已经某种程度啊，把圣经甩在后头很远了。
Although Taiwan's GDP per capita is estimated to surpass South Korea's, its average salary still remains lower. Why is that?
就是我们看到的人均 GDP 有一个非常亮眼的成长，但是我们付出的代价，那也某种程度来讲，因为低成本嘛。 也包含人力成本在里头，所以我们过去啊，的确是某种程度去压抑薪资的成长，来成就整个人均 GDP 的成长。那所以这个薪水低，某种程度代表了物价低。在这个情况之下，它其实我们可以说它取得的是另外一种平衡啊。那韩国虽然你看到它的薪水很高，但是它的物价其实也很高啊。如果我们换个角度，从购买力评价的 GDP 来看的话， 那我们其实早就已经领先韩国很多了。
That was Chiu Junrong from Taiwan's National Central University. Following Taiwan's Semicon last week, the country continues to promote its technological prowess with Innovation Week. Taiwan's top national research lab, ITRI, kicked off the events by showcasing their tech to Vice President Bi Kim-hsiao and TSMC Chair C.C. Wei. Our reporter Chris Gorin was there in Hsinchu and brings us this report.
It's a big week at the Industrial Technology Research Institute, or ITRI, with innovation events designed to turn lab inventions into products that keep Taiwan competitive. At their Hsinchu facility, ITRI gave demonstrations of its tech to important guests like Vice President Bi Kim-hsiao, Economy Minister Gong Mingxin, and TSMC Chair and CEO C.C. Wei. Technologies on display included an AI engine that auto-generates stylized images and videos, a modular 3D packaged AI chip that boosts on-device performance while using less power, and a new steel H-beam manufacturing process that reduces carbon emissions. Vice President Xiao says that Taiwan's innovation comes from the society's resilience.
全球贸易体系也正在改变、重塑的过程当中，我们当然有看到一些风险，但是这当中更看到过去到现在，台湾总是在挑战当中不断地创造奇迹。
The event, which also marks ITRI's 52nd anniversary, saw the group announce 5 new laureates for their contributions in the fields of semiconductors, engineering, and healthcare. Other sessions at this week's research event will focus on startups, smart healthcare, and robotics. Fu Hahong and Chris Gorin in Hsinchu for TaiwanPlus.
China is accusing US chipmaker Nvidia of violating its anti-monopoly laws. In a one-sentence statement, China's market regulator referred to Nvidia's 2020 acquisition of network supplier Mellanox Technology. It said it will carry out further investigations. The case comes as Nvidia works to keep a foothold in China. Many of its most advanced chips are restricted by US export controls. Nvidia has developed China-specific, lower capability products to comply, but it still faces regulatory hurdles. The US and China are sitting down for another round of trade talks in Europe, touching on everything from tariffs to TikTok. But analysts are not optimistic for a breakthrough in trade tensions between the world's 2 largest economies. John Van Trieste reports.
How did the meetings go today, Mr. Secretary?
US and Chinese delegations take their leave Sunday after a day of talks in Madrid, Spain. It's the 4th time in 4 months the US and China have met in Europe, trying to salvage one of the world's biggest trade relationships amid geopolitical tensions and US tariffs. As the motorcades depart, it's not clear how far the 2 sides have progressed. They have a lot to work through. Trade ties are strained, a 90-day tariff truce is running out, and in his quest to end the Russia-Ukraine war, US President Donald Trump wants US allies to put their own tariffs on China to pressure it into scrapping imports of Russian oil. And then there's the matter on US President Donald Trump's mind. China-owned social media app TikTok, used by roughly 170 million Americans. The US government's been pushing for the app's Chinese owners to sell its US operations or face a shutdown. So far, there have been 4 extensions of the deadline for the sale. Trump says the app's fate rests with China.
They're negotiating TikTok right now. We may let it die, or we may, I don't know, it depends, up to China. It doesn't matter too much. I'd like to do it for the kids, they like it. I mean, selfishly speaking, I did very well on TikTok, and I got the youth vote. I got numbers that nobody's ever even come close to in the Republican Party, nobody.
There's still a second day of talks Monday to sort through these sticky issues, but experts aren't optimistic. And with China launching an anti-dumping probe into the US chip industry and a so-called anti-discrimination probe into US measures towards China's chip industry, there's a chance trade friction could grow even further. Chris Ma and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Washington's de facto embassy in Taiwan is rejecting China's use of agreements made after World War II to reaffirm its claims to Taiwan. As Alan Liu reports, it's an issue that's sparking debate here in Taiwan.
The U.S. is stepping into the debates on Taiwan sovereignty. The American Institute in Taiwan, Washington's de facto embassy, says Beijing mischaracterizes World War II-era documents like the Cairo Declaration and Treaty of San Francisco to claim Taiwan as part of China. It was responding to media questions about Chinese pressure on Taiwan and called Beijing's narrative false, saying none of those documents determine Taiwan's political status. Japan gave up its claims to Taiwan in the 1951 San Francisco Peace Treaty, but left sovereignty unresolved. Beijing, not a signatory of that pact, calls the treaty illegal and invalid, paving the way for its claims on Taiwan. Responding to AIT, Taiwan's foreign ministry also accused China of distorting historical narrative.
中方不实法律论述的意图 是将台湾孤立于国际社会之外，并且限制其他国家和台湾互动的主权选择等等更广泛行动的一环。
In Taiwan, reactions to AIT's remarks have been mixed. The Kuomintang-friendly Ma Ying-jeou Foundation released a statement saying AIT's new position contradicts Washington's long-standing policy, which emphasizes no change in its stance on Taiwan sovereignty. The organization added that shifting to a Taiwan status undetermined view threatens Taiwan's security, as China hasn't ruled out the use of force to take Taiwan. But Democratic Progressive Party lawmaker Wang Dingyu told reporters that Washington is responding to China's increased legal warfare tactics aimed at isolating Taiwan. Over the past few years, the U.S. has been emphasizing that its policy on cross-strait relations has not changed. In 2022, the State Department said the following.
One China policy has not changed. We don't take a position on sovereignty, but the policy that has been at the crux of our approach to Taiwan since 1979 remains in effect today. What we want to see continue, what we want to see preserved, is the status quo.
And even for the recent statement, former AIT chairman Richard Bush told TaiwanPlus that it remains aligned with the U.S. government's stance on Taiwan's legal status. And analysts say AIT's statement isn't exactly rare, but expresses the U.S.'s long-standing position on the Taiwan Strait more explicitly.
美国的立场并没有任何的一个改变，所以之所以选这个时机点，我认为说还是主要在于中国大陆不断的在过去这段时间与这个国际社会上面对于世界其他国家进行这个相关的这个误导跟大外宣的一个做法。
The timing of AIT's remarks, also noteworthy, coming just after China's massive parade marking the end of World War II, and Taiwan's recent exclusion from the Pacific Islands Forum. Dolphin Chen and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's foreign minister has rejected Chinese government criticism of an exhibit of Chinese historical objects on loan in Prague.
其实真正去中国化是中共政权的，其实他们是用这个马列毛泽东思想，他们是这个唯物主义无神论，他们只是想要垄断对中华文化的解释，可是反而在他们统治下，中华文化是死了。那中华文化因为漂洋过海到新的土壤上的时候，往往就有可能保存，甚至有了新的生命。
Lin's remarks come after China accused Taiwan of using Chinese cultural assets to push what it called cultural Taiwan independence. The artifacts were loaned to Prague by Taiwan's National Palace Museum. They were brought to Taiwan in the late 1940s by the nationalist government during the communist takeover of China. Lin says the collection is a global cultural asset and that Taiwan is using culture to make friends, while China uses it to serve political aims. Pacific Island nations have pledged their commitment to Taiwan's participation in their annual meeting. The Pacific Islands Forum released a statement following the 5-day event last week, reaffirming the 1992 decision on Taiwan's inclusion as a development partner. Taiwan's foreign ministry has welcomed the move. Unlike previous years, Taiwan, along with the US and China, was not invited to attend this year's forum. Media reports suggested that Beijing had pressured host nation Solomon Islands to block Taiwan's participation. Former Taiwan People's Party chair Wen-je will remain free on bail after a court rejected prosecutors' attempts to overturn his release. Kerr was released on a $2 million bail last week after a year in detention. Prosecutors immediately appealed, saying he breached his bail conditions by meeting with another witness in the case. Kerr is currently on trial over corruption charges from his time as Taipei mayor and is accused of embezzling campaign funds during his presidential run. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, let's head to this music festival in Berlin, where even books can be used as instruments. I'm Laurel Stewart. Take care and see you next time.